Hi everyone, delonewolf here and welcome back to the Sunday recap, my weekly vlog where I talk a bit about my last week in games. And I've really only played EVE Online last week, which has been pretty fun. I spent most of my time in Galente space doing exploration around there in the Ishtar. I've switched it around a little bit, gave it some high slots, a little bit of like weapon systems and things like that, but overall it's still working quite nicely and we're finding a decent amount of good sites. The one thing that I may still have to look into is to make it an all-in-one, to also include an analyzer, because I am skipping all of those data sites, which potentially can yield a decent amount of ISK as well, especially when some of those new items for industry drop. So I spent most of my time doing that type of exploration. I did take regular trips back and forth to Jita, actually moved some stuff in there as well to do a little bit of selling, and keep an eye of course on my station trading there, which is still mostly focused on Tech 2 ships. So the Oneros, which was a pretty aggressive purchase that I made, or that I put in the buy order for a while ago, that actually triggered on more downwards pressure for the Oneros. And then there's also a sell order that's just probably not going to work, a pretty aggressive one for the Kitsune, who also like maybe 3-4 weeks after putting up the buy order actually triggered. I was like very hopeful because we were going up super sharply. There were like 5 or 6 sell orders for the Kitsune left in Jita and in perimeter, so I tried to go like 1 or 2 million below that. I would almost double my money if that one had sold, but then other players came in as well, and yeah, they undercut me by quite a little bit at this point. Now potentially, right, if I look at the chart, we could still make it, so I'm going to leave the sell order up and see if it eventually triggers, but it is very unlikely. So that happens as well if you go too aggressive on the price. If you try to go for too much of a profit, you know, the timings can be wrong, and that can also you know, be a bad thing. So you can be too early with your purchases, which I've done on a couple of those Tech 2 mining ships, and you can also definitely be too aggressive on your sell prices. Be happy with a certain percentage, I would say, if you want to be certain and turn over your ISK and make a little bit of profit more often. That tends to be a pretty good tactic as well, because well, those ships, the Oneros, Kitsune, definitely buy orders and sell orders that have been stuck there for several weeks already. If I would have been like a little bit more aggressive on the buying or less aggressive on the selling, perhaps I could have done multiple trades at this point. So it really depends a little bit on what you want to do. But for me, I've been going back almost daily, and it's been a pretty interesting experience. Although summertime, summer slump, it takes a little bit of luck, I would say, for the spikes to actually happen. At the moment, we are seeing quite a little bit of pressure across the market. So all good though, just having fun, and so far no losses on my trades, which I think is pretty important as well. Next up, I also went to a Mars space at the end of the week, doing my blueprint copies, of course, selling decently well to my surprise. All of a sudden I had like 17 new contracts to make, so sold 17 out of 21 in a period of around 2 weeks. That is not that bad. Structures going up in price quite substantially, so I am going to make a couple more copies for the from the structure BPOs. Apparently not a lot of supply available anymore, and still some people, maybe even a rebuilding process in Nosek or something like that happening, and as a result we're getting pretty damn good prices for those BPCs. And then for the ships, transport ships, things like that, you gotta be competitive. So definitely lower prices than, let's say, 6 months ago, where you could sometimes easily get like 15 million for a single BPC. At the moment it's looking like going below 10 million is what I have to do if I want to make those trades happen. But you know, just part of the regular stuff, of course. Once every 10-ish days I go back to a Mars space, grab my BPCs, put them up for sale, and that's when I can gauge the market. At the moment, you know, surprisingly good, I would say, for the summer slump that we are experiencing. Also doing a little bit of exploration around in a Mars space. It is really not busy around the system of Yona, although the pipeline to Nullsec there does seem to be kind of busy. I'm seeing a lot of transport ships, to my surprise. that I do think are heading for Providence. So that may be part of why things are actually going decently well on the Blueprint copy business. Perhaps there's a bit of a build-up that's starting to happen through a Mars space into Providence nullsec, and yeah, seeing lots of freighters coming through there, and perhaps they're building up structures and things like that as well. So maybe I'll spend a little bit more time there, but at the moment what I'm also doing is jumping into a Minmatar space. Of course, we had that awesome trailer for the Minmatar Republic, really quite hype, honestly, very cool. And so we got these daily challenges to find like one of their forces and launch fireworks at the Titan there. That gives you a little bit of skill points, and then you can go through another reward track for skins and other stuff. That's pretty cool, but at the moment it's like too busy for me. I'm noticing like half a dozen ships on the Titans at pretty much all times. Lots of scanning for the data site. I think those are like, if you find them, they're probably the most effective way of getting those points. But mining expeditions being run quite often as well, and then I haven't done any of those reenacting sites that I saw, but that could be interesting as well. Still, I get the feeling that it's very busy in Minmatar space with the trailer, with the event that's happening, and I'm personally gonna wait, I think, a little bit for all of that to cool down, so that I can get in there and just basically chain all of those event sites a little bit more efficiently. But overall, another pretty fun week in EVE Online for me personally, and yeah, still looking forward to any news on what CCP is planning next for the development. That was my last week in games, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time.